My name's Wilkie. I am an outdoor enthusiast and I enjoy the mountains in my home country of Scotland. I also like to document them on my YouTube channel, and today I'm heading up a mountain I've never been up in an area of Glencoe. So please join us and see if we get to the top of the mountain. The forecast today is for high winds in the tops. You can see the clouds scudding across the Munro top there quite a lot, quite quickly. So the higher tops are going to be windy, and the other thing is there's snow in the higher tops. And I think for making a YouTube video, keeping the gear dry, keeping us safe, I've chosen a hill that I've never done before in Glencoe, and it's called Mealmore. It's just up there. I think it's between about 650 metres. I'll need to get the map out to check. But I've never done it before, and I've always fancied doing it for a wild camp, because I think the views from the top of it will be quite spectacular. It's not your classic views, but I think you're looking at Glencoe from a different angle. You know, and different to the sort of standard waterfall shot or the Buchel or Benacrolace views. This will give us a different perspective. Yeah, sunshine, here we are. I don't count the Grahams, I've been counting the Munros and the Corbetts for about, hold them now, 25 years. And yeah, I go through phases. I've got literally 2 days left to finish the Munros, but that's been the same for about 10 years. So I just like getting out. Julian, I mean, look at it now, look at the sun. Look at that.
Blue sky.
Yeah, blue sky, but if we get these tops to clear and they're white, it's going to be spectacular. Yes, I think I've been here a lot more. I think I met Jerry, so people that watch my channel will know Jerry. Jerry's a proper mountaineer in the Steaming Boots team, and I've probably known Jerry for about 11 or 12 years now. And with him being a mountaineer, he took me under his wing, and a lot of the stuff we did was in Glencoe. So up the face of the Buchel and into Stalcorn Loughin, the winter climbs there. So it's a special place. The only thing that detracts about Glencoe is it's so accessible, which is also a good thing. That the car parks get so busy, you do have to be an early bird to ensure your parking spot. He says, what time did we meet at? 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock.
Oh, never. There's just something about nice about being outside, isn't there? I mean, whether it's just out with the dogs, I mean, I've got a couple of dogs at home, and always feel better getting outside with them, even if it's a forest walk. But in terms of coming up like a hill today, it's a new hill for me, so you've got that added excitement of what the views are going to be like. So it always pushes you on a wee bit to see what they're like. It's very slippery. It's slimy.
So I noticed you were taking pictures there with your phone.
Yeah.
What camera you use the most?
Yeah, for stills, definitely. A number of people have said this to me. Why the hell have you got all that expensive camera gear and you're not using it for photos? I keep it for the videos, or if I see a scene where the light's particularly good when I'm wild camping, or if I need to do astro, I'll get the big camera out. But just for wee things like that, I mean, if I'm going to put them anywhere, it's just going to be on social media, and you don't really need to spend hours setting up. And the iPhones, the cameras are pretty good now. I mean, you're not going to blow that up to put on your wall. So
how big a part of your life is photography?
I very rarely go out thinking I'm going out to take a picture, or I've done it a few times where I've thought I want to go out and capture the scene, whereas I'd say 99.9% of my photography is out whilst I'm walking. I'm like, oh, there's a nice shot, and I'll just take the shot whilst I'm walking. I don't go and wait somewhere for hours and hours and hours. That's why I like wild camping, because you can sit and you see the light changing from the same position, so you do get to pick out your compositions. But it's not a big part. Sorry, Julian. Have I disappointed you?
No, not at all. But but to be fair, you are an accomplished photographer, though, aren't you? I mean, you do take some very, very nice images.
I think I would never ever describe myself as a photographer. I actually I don't know if it was a video that I brought out recently, but I went back to a hill I hadn't been in about 25 years. And I would have been in my teens, and I took a picture of some wild horses with this Shugley Bridge. And there used to be a photo of the week competition in the local rag, the Perthshire Advertiser, and I remember putting it in, and they published it it wasn't the Tuesday version, which was the one that nobody bought. But I was quite chuffed with myself. And the only other time that I've actually been paid, and I didn't ask to get paid, was there's a magazine called the Scots Magazine, and they contacted me about a picture I'd taken from not far from here, from the top of Stockhorn Lochlan, which we'll see, on a wild camp, and that was with a telephoto lens. And I've got these are about the only pictures I've blown up at home, because I'm quite proud of them. And it's a long view over, and you can see the Cuillin from Glencoe serrated, and it's just layers and layers of mountains. And they contacted me, and they used it as a front cover. And I told them the reason that one's special to me, because I went up to read a letter my mum had left me before she died, and it was really nice. So they published it and then gave me, I think it was about £200. But I didn't know I was getting any money. But what I wanted them to do was to tell the story, which they did. They put it at the back of the magazine. So that's it. That's only 2 times, Julian, I've asked for money. How much are you giving me again for doing this? Is it
£5? Scottish pounds as well. So 5 Scottish pounds.
Better not be one of those old paper notes. That's a very good question. It's an addiction. I don't know if I talked about this, I've maybe gone over this, but it's an obsession. It's an obsession. You go out, I'll be, once I come back from the hills, I'll edit my films. That feeds the rat, because you're kind of reliving the adventure for a bit longer. But after a few days, you're just thinking about the next adventure and where you're going to go. So if people ask you, I often get asked, why did you go to the hills? If you have to ask that question, you don't know, because you've never done it. But I think just the landscapes inspire me. Even on days like today, you can see the hills sort of coming and going, the sheets of rain coming down. And you have the other benefits, the health benefits of keeping fit. It's good for your mental health. I think it's the landscapes, though. And we're really lucky in Scotland, we've got such varied landscapes. I think it's just got stronger, to be honest with you. As I've seen more of them and what they can offer, and you don't always just have to go up and down them as you're told to do. I think that and you see them in different light as well. I think for the first 10 years, perhaps, maybe a bit less of my walking life, I only walked in the summer. I was petrified to go in the winter because I didn't know how to use the winter gear, and you hear all these stories of when things have gone wrong, which unfortunately does happen. So I used to be a summer walker, but getting out, as my experience has grown and I've learned how to go out in all conditions and different times as well, night time, wild camp, sunrises. I've experienced the hills and their full glory. They're glorious enough just going out in the summer and during the day, but there's something special about being at the top of the hill by yourself in a tent or watching the sun going down. Nobody else is going to come up. Firstly, I'm not super fit. You saw the pace I was going up that hill. I think in my younger days it was a bit more about fitness and we need to get up here in a certain amount of time. But now, especially doing the filming and trying to take in it's just about as much as taking in the landscape and enjoying it. I don't think you can do that if you're just looking at your feet and trying to get up and down in a certain time. Certainly not for me anyway. But no, the hills are for everyone, and I think that's what makes them such a great unifier. And it brings different people. It doesn't matter what class system you're from, how fit you are. It brings people together, I think. And you don't have to be Superman and do 12-hour days with 4,000 metres of ascent. I have just as much enjoyment. Like, for instance, yesterday, Julian, the hill we went up wasn't a strenuous hill, but that's one of the best hill walks I've done in a while. Well, there was a rainbow there a minute ago. But yeah, probably most notable to people looking at this on their TV screens will be the Pap of Glencoe, which is this kind of pap-shaped mountain. And it's a bit of a, you can actually do the Anachigach, which is kind of on this side. This is the end of the Anachigach here, and you can actually continue on to the Pap. But most people will do it from just down in the glen here, and there's a lovely path that goes up it. It's a lovely wee peak. Well, you know what it was? It's when I started. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier on, but when I went out with Jerry to start off with, Jerry used to make videos of the climbs. I used to enjoy watching them back. He'd put them on YouTube, and I thought I'll maybe give this a go. And those ones that you're talking about were done on my phone. They were all done on my phone, and they were really terrible. I'm surprised that you've got as far as the Wasp soundtrack, to be honest with you. And I just enjoyed making them and having them as wee mementos of the trips, and it just evolved from there really. Just kind of ended up buying more equipment, buying a better camera. I think at the time HD was just coming out, and I remember buying my first HD camera and then taking it home and really looking forward to seeing the footage. The computer I had didn't have the power to actually play it back, so I had to buy a computer. Yeah, I think I was always scared to do voice, well, if you look at it, you're right, it was like just heavy metal soundtracks over the footage. And I thought it's going to be more informative if I can speak and give some sort of narrative. I used to, before I started speaking, I just put text up to try and tell the story. I thought it's going to be easier if I can speak, but I didn't want to do it. So if you look at the evolution of the videos, there was the very first ones which we talked about, and then there was ones where I put text in to try and tell a story. And then what I did was I did start speaking, but I'd never had the camera facing me, so you just hear my voice as I was panning around. And then I just built up the confidence and started coming in front of the camera and speaking to the camera, as opposed to just my backside walking past numerous times. You know, they are still mementos, but I think people enjoy them as well. And then, you know, if people enjoy them, I'll continue. I mean, even if people don't enjoy them, I'll probably continue to do them, because, you know, when I'm long gone, you know, when my ancestors go back to look at my family tree, they'll go, "There's that guy. What did he do?" And at least there'll be a record. I went up the mountains and wasn't just a grumpy old man. I can show my grandkids as well when my knees are finally gone and I'm in a hospital bed. My wife's not interested either. She's not really much a hill walker. But they understand it. I've always done the hills, even before I did what did we say, 11 years for the YouTube. I've been walking, I don't know, since my late teens and out in the mountains. So they've kind of been used to that. And I must admit, it does sometimes eat up a bit of time when you get the guilt. You go back, you've been away all day climbing, and you're like, "Oh, I need to go and download this stuff. I need to look at this. I need to get the SD card out and download the video." So, there's some more hikers coming down. Just caught out the side of my eye. So, So I'm totally thrown off my stride now. Can't talk when there's people in the
Should we
shop.
do some walking instead then?
Yeah, we'll do that. I don't think so. You don't make. I mean, you'll know as well. You don't make any money from YouTube. In fact, the only reason that AdSense. The only thing that I get money from on YouTube is the ads. And the only reason I did that is because there's another YouTuber told me. He said, they say they don't, but YouTube will push your videos out more if you put the ads on. So I put them on and maybe make a total of something like £10 or €10 per video.
He doesn't even pay for the petrol, do he, does it, these days?
Not these days anyway. No, so I think in terms of money, I could do a lot more. I mean, merchandise and sponsorships, but no, I don't do that. Maybe when I'm thinking of retiring I might, but yeah, it's I don't know. I've been asked by quite a few companies about sponsorship and stuff like that, but I've never done it. Always turned them down. I don't know whether it's I don't like the pressure of having to do that. I like making the videos the way I do them, and I don't know, I don't feel comfortable doing it, maybe. I don't know, maybe that's the correct answer. And it's just another thing to worry about when doing the videos. I like, you know, as I said, it's getting enough time to actually do them as they are is hard enough, and then having to worry about, you know, saying how good something is. I have done reviews but not been paid for them and said it as it is. That's not really what the channel's
About?
Yeah, I don't think so. not so much. More recently, but I think just because the channel's, it's got more popularity and more people watch it. Nearly conclusively, I guess, is on the hill, because people that will watch the channel are more likely to be hill walkers. And it's nice. I love. If you do see me, come and say hello, because I do enjoy chatting. So sometimes if it's a really busy hill, I find that I can't get to the top because there's. But it's fine. I enjoy speaking. I do, and it's you guys that make the channel possible. So yeah, I enjoy chatting to people. Very occasionally, outside the hills, I got recognised once at a bus stop outside Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, getting frozen peas at Tesco's. Somebody came up to me, and there's been a few in a lift in a hospital once. Yeah, which is nice. It's great that people watch it and come and say hello. So yeah, don't feel shy. Come and say hi. So TV work. Yeah, I met Paul Merton in the Grand Tours of Scotland, and they were doing a journey from Tainault right up Glen Etive, culminating at Buccleuch Moor, and I met him, and we did a camp on Craigdhu, which was interesting. And yeah, a couple of times I've been on like STV things, but nothing to write home about really. Just YouTube, just people's tellies or phones. Well, distance-wise from where we left the car, we've probably done 3/4, but height-wise we're at about 450 metres. So the next bit, I don't know if you can spin round up there, this is probably the steepest part of the climb. It was so gentle coming down, because that forestry track zigzagged up the hill. It really wasn't any effort, but a wee bit of effort required now. So I think in about half an hour from here we'll be at the top, and it's clearing up beautifully. I mean, there's more blue skies now than there is cloud, which was what was forecast. I'm in a happy place. Yes, indeed. That's a good question. I think when I was a teenager, or certainly younger, probably I didn't finish it until I was about 15. But I started Lord of the Rings long before the movies were made. And it took me years and years to finish that, but I was always, I mean, that's a hill walking book really, or a journey. And from my house in Perth, I could always see the mountains. I could see Ben Aglow, I could see the Highland Boundary Fault, and I was always fascinated by them, and especially when it was snowing. You could see the mountains with the snow in them. And anyway, I think I just had this urge to go and explore them. And when I was about 15, I got invited along on a Duke of Edinburgh sponsored walk through the Larry Grew, which was great. But it wasn't really until I'd finished at college, and some of my college mates went to college in Aberdeen, and they were into their outdoors, and they invited me along after our final exams, and it was up Loch Nagar. Loch Nagar was my first Munro, and it was a beautiful sunny day. And I was just hooked. I think I went out twice with them, and then when I got back that summer, I went out with my dad, and he took me up. He hadn't done hill walking since he was younger, but he wanted to come with me. And we did some of the easy ones, and it just sort of snowballed from there. And it's an addiction, really. No, my dad used to tell me stories when he was a young man. He's been up places like Sullivan, he's been up Ben Lors, but not really much more. But he used to tell me stories. There was one day he went up to Ben Lors, and same story that he commented to his mate, what a lovely sunset it was, and then they realised that they had to get back down before it got dark. And I do have a picture of my dad as a young man standing near the top of Sullivan, but he wasn't really into it. Certainly, growing up, my family, my parents weren't really, didn't do any sports or anything like that. So it was kind of, I don't know, yeah, they certainly didn't introduce me to it. I just kind of fell into it. And my brother comes out very occasionally. I was out with him actually a few weeks ago, but that was about the first time in about 5 years. But he's got young kids, so hasn't been out as much. And my sister stays in Australia. But she did come over a few years ago, and I took her up some of the smaller hills, Ben Ann.
Ben Ann, yeah, I saw that video.
Yeah, I took her up there. But they watch over in Australia. Her kids watch the Steaming Boots, the Scotland's Mountains videos. So yeah, no, there's just something special. I mean, this to me, I've said this before. This kind of landscape where you've got the sea and mountains. The mountains of Scotland aren't high by any comparison, in comparison to like the Alps or the Himalaya, but there's just something special about them. The light you get, looking over here and see a snow-capped mountain, and then you've got the sea down here. It's special. I don't know, it's just something that you don't get anywhere else. I think we've got It's a plateau, so maybe another kilometre to the top, but that'll take us closer to that viewpoint that I was hoping for. But it's cleared beautifully, isn't it? This is just, the forecast has done what it said, which is brilliant. So blue skies, it's a bit blustery, but you know what? We've got snow on the tops, and we're going to get a view into Glencoe in a minute, so happy. Happy chappy. But it depends where you go. Usually to say you're coming to Glencoe and you go up a hill and don't see anyone is quite unusual because it's so popular, but this hill, although it's my first time up it, it's not a well-known or that popular a hill. We've only seen a handful of people on the estate track and nobody up here, so I must admit, nothing against you, Julian, but I do enjoy the solitude sometimes. I enjoy companionship as well, but yeah, sometimes the solitude, and I think just being alone with your thoughts and all that sort of stuff is quite nice sometimes, and these sort of places are perfect. And you know, the other thing is, I think I mentioned this earlier on, I'm getting views of mountains I've been up lots of times before, but I've never seen them from this angle. And I'm seeing landscapes that I've seen hundreds of times before, but never from this angle. So it's always worthwhile either going up smaller hills or going up the hills that you know, maybe by a different route. It's always an eye-opener if you need to be.
What are you seeing today that you've not seen before then?
Blue sky. Sunshine. No, the Bidian from this specific angle. I mean, I've been on the hills close by, but not from this angle. You know what? Even if I've been up here, the beauty of hill walking is, even if you go up the same route up the same mountain, the weather's so variable. It makes every day different every time you go up it, even if you go up the same way. And today's just one of those sort of autumnal days. There's snow on the tops, it's blustery, sun's out. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
So you'll never get bored of this, will you?
No, there's nothing to get bored of. I don't think. I certainly wouldn't. I can't talk for other people, but yeah, as I said, this is my happy place. When it's like this, I might not have been saying that if we were battling through driving sleet, but no, this is nice, and I think we're going to get. I'm really keen to see what the views down Glencoe are like.
So, I think you've got a catchphrase here, haven't you? Enough talking.
Enough talking, let's get walking, yeah. Stop asking me questions. Let's go. Perfect day for me would be, I don't know, somewhere, maybe a kayak, like we're talking about this, a kayak into a location, making it a bit more of an adventure, and then a wild camp, breaking through the clouds the last minute, just as sunset's approaching, you get above the clouds, get your tent, no wind, no midges, very calm, clarity, you can see for as far as you can see the horizon of the earth, and beautiful skies, a wee bit of whiskey.
What whiskey?
Glenlivet's my favourite, a nice Speyside. I like a Speyside. I'm not too keen on the peaty ones. A packet of peanuts, chili peanuts. If I could choose anyone, it'd be Jerry to have me in any situation. But if it was a person that's more famous than Jerry, Jerry's a famous author now. He's got his own book out. Go and check it out. Yeah.
I'll put a link in the video description below.
Yeah. Day walks in the Trossachs in Loch Lomond. Christmas is coming, you know. Day walks to the Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park. Dead or alive, somebody that I could go walking with. I don't know, Bon Scott from AC/DC. There you go.
There you go. I guess.
He'd be able to supply me with the whiskey probably. Yeah, have a good handle on that. I think he'd be good company. Bit of a party animal. One that springs to mind is years ago, myself and my brother went to do the two. In fact, it wasn't far from where we were on the top of Meal Moor. There's two. They're called the Hidden Mountains of Glencoe, but we did them from Glen Etive, and we couldn't find any descriptions in any of the books about linking these two hills, but we thought, sod it, we'll link these two hills. And we were very early on in our hill walking careers. We were young men, and we decided to go directly from one summit to the other, and literally it was like I don't know, E7 rock climb on grass and heather. Down climbing, holding on to tufts and heather. That was quite hairy and a bit silly really, but we were young and naive, and you learn. That's sometimes how you learn. You'll never do that again. So that was a bit hairy, to be honest with you. There's been lots of occasions, but generally we're pretty good. In the last 15 years, I think I'm a bit cautious. We were talking about this, Julian. I don't take any risks if I can. I don't go out if I know the weather's going to be horrendous. For instance, perfect example today. We're filming this and the only dry, well it's not even dry, there's a fine mizzle now, but it's been torrential rain. I don't know if you can see my jacket. And it's been pretty gusty down here. The tops were forecast 60 mile an hour gusts. And I ain't going up there. You can't stand in that sort of weather, literally. So we have taken the sensible option and taken a very scenic route along Loch Etive. Am I right in saying Loch Etive, Julian? Yeah. Glen Etive's up there. You might be able to see it. Can you see the hill behind us? No. Behind us, use your imagination, is Ben Trelichan, which is at the bottom of Glen Etive, or the top of the loch. Beautiful mountain. Shame you can't see it. Oh. Shall we go down and see if we can get a spot to photograph Glencoe?
Yes. We're at the summit now then, aren't we?
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. This is the summit of the highest point on the mountain, which is, I think it's about 600, let me just check my map. More 676 metres. Not high enough to be in the snow, but high enough to give us the views that we need to see the hills that are in the snow. Yeah, I'm happy to come up a new hill, but to be honest with you, that doesn't really, today that hasn't bothered me at all. That would have been high on my kind of happiness scale if we couldn't see a thing and we've been trudging through the mist and we'd got to the top, but just being here and the views that we've got at the moment is, I don't really mind, I don't really care. I'll be back up here at some other point. But it's nice to come and see a new viewpoint, but I'm not really that bothered about it being a new hill.
It's not about ticking boxes, is it?
No. It used to be. I used to refuse to go up a hill unless it was one I hadn't done before when I started off when I was going up the Munros. I was like, it has to be a new Munro. I was obsessed by it. But yeah, just getting older and wiser now. Well, certainly older. Look at this. You can see the Lochan. This is the view, I think. I think this is the view. Oh, we could go down a bit further. We're almost there. I think if we go down to the next one, that should give us the view that we're wanting. This is literally Scotland's mountains. This is what you're all about, isn't it? This is Scotland's mountains, yeah. It is absolutely Scotland's mountains. And you can see them, and that's always a bonus when you're on a trip like today. They're just, you know, it's beautiful. The snow adds to the view. It's just, yeah, I love it. Love it, I love it, I love it. Oh yeah. That's the view. That is the view. See right down to the Clachaig, can you? Clachaig Inn's down there. Off the top of my head, I could probably name a few of them. Not that many. Ben Nevis, start with the easy ones. Ben Nevis is over there, Papa Glencoe, and then this ridge, as you can see, this is on the northern side of Glencoe. That's the Ainich ridge, and there's two Munros on either side. I think the first one's called An Bodach. I can't remember what the second one's called, unfortunately. And you can see in between you've got the crazy pinnacles, which are the pinnacles on the ridge, which everyone gets nightmares about. And then right at the head of the glen, you can actually see what is, I think it might be getting pushed as my favourite hill in Glencoe by this one, to be honest with you, but right at the bottom, you might not make it out in the camera, is Benacrulaist. And that's a fantastic viewpoint as well. It really is special, but it's a completely different viewpoint to what this one is. And halfway down that is a smaller peak called Stob Benacrulaist, and that's where everyone camps. One of the three sisters of Glencoe ahead of us now, is it Ben Fata, Gear Anich and Anich Beg? I think this is Anich Beg. It's either Anich Beg or Anich Du. I need to have a look at the map. The pronunciation's probably all wrong and you'll get lots of comments saying, ah, you can't say that right.
You say it with confidence though.
I wish I could speak Gaelic, and I wish I had more time to learn it. And there's some great websites out there. Walk Highlands has a button you can press which tells you the pronunciation, which is fantastic. But if I'm being honest with you, when I'm up a mountain, I'm thinking more about getting places and staying alive and videoing. and sometimes it's too cold to get the phone out, and you don't have any signal to press the Walk Highlands pronunciation button. So I do apologise to any Gaelic speakers out there. I'm not a Gaelic speaker. I was quite academic at school, but the one thing that I could not do was languages. I just flounced at French and German. I was terrible at them, and yeah, I think if I tried to learn Gaelic, I'd be a big fail. I don't have time to do it anyway. But I wish I could. I do wish I could speak fluent Gaelic, but I can't, so I do my best. That's about the long and short of it, Julian. I do have to work to put bread on the table, feed the kids. This is just a hobby. Just like sharing this stuff. People seem to like watching it. For views like this, I don't blame them. But yeah, I do have a 9 to 5 job. It's more like a 6 to 9 job. 6 in the morning till 9 at night, that is. So, you know what? I've got one of my old mountain bikes on a sort of roller system in the garage, and that's the only way I can get any cardio. I used to go out jogging when I was a youngster, but my knees. I think I mentioned to you, Julian. The people watching won't know this, but I had my first operation on my knee in my early 20s, and so yeah, I can't really go out running to keep fit. So I've got the bike in the garage on the rollers. So that's how I keep fit when I get time to do that. And that, along with taking the dogs out for a walk, that's my other means of getting fit. But nothing really compares. The only way you can get hill fit is to get out in the hills, really. The handsome young chap with lots of blonde hair. That was me. Yeah,
it was you.
That was
wasn't
me.
it?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of martial arts when I was. I think from about the age of 12 till again. I think that's one of the reasons my knees are so bad. Is I had to give that up because of my knees. But maybe mid-20s I did it for, and I just enjoyed it. Enjoyed doing it. Jiu-jitsu and aikido is what I did. Did try little bits and bobs of other things, but yeah, it was just good fun. It was a good community. And
What belt did you get to?
I was a black belt.
Were you? So
Have you
basically,
seen-
if I see you on the mountains, not to give you too much trouble, otherwise.
I was going to say I'd kick your ass, but I can't lift my knee high enough to do that anymore. So the only person's ass I'd be kicking would be my own ass. But yeah, no, I did. It was something called Taijutsu, which was a blend of Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu. I think it's good for kids to do martial arts because it teaches you discipline and respect, teaching you how to train for things and be disciplined about things, whether that be hill walking, training, or just general life. It's kind of set me up, I think, for those sort of aspects of things. But yeah, that was another lifetime ago now. The Northern Lights are amazing, but you know something, and I might be controversial here. The Northern Lights, when you see them from Scotland, unless they're really strong, even with the naked eye, I don't think they're that impressive. The pictures you get from them, the camera views that you get from the camera, the Aurora Borealis look fantastic, but when you actually see them with the naked eye, they're not that strong. And conversely, something that I saw just this summer, I saw pictures of it, and I always thought the pictures looked pretty average, and I thought, why do people get excited about that? And I woke up early in a summer camp this year and popped my head out, and it was noctilucent clouds. Oh my God, they were impressive to the naked eye. Maybe not so much on the camera, but that was really impressive. So that would be one. Another thing would be a red rainbow when I was on Stack Poly. It was like a rainbow, but red. Cool.
Pure red?
Yeah, well, it had the spectrum of colours, but it was like a red tinge to it. I think it's caused by before the sun's up. It's not the full sun. It's like the dawn sun. They're called red. There's different names for them. I think red rainbow is one of them. So, yeah. I think important wise, I've an easy answer actually. Best bit of gear is my ultimate outdoor accessory, which is a camper van. It cost a lot of money, saved a lot of years, but it's I love it. Yeah, I do love it. Well, snack. I mean, define snack, because we've talked about this Scotch eggs. That's not a snack. That's a meal. That's the equivalent of a sandwich. So is that you classify that as a snack? I don't know. Ooh. Well, no, I think what do I enjoy snack-wise on the hill? Some chocolate. I like a bit of chocolate. You know, white chocolate's my favourite. It's you better watch your camera doesn't blow over. Yeah, white chocolate. I like white chocolate, but Scotch eggs have got to be number one. Very convenient. It's got the vitamins in the egg, the nutrients that you need. It's got the protein around it. It's the perfect hill food. Perfect. Can't beat it. Yep, just back down the way we came. And the beauty about doing this is you see out to the west and Ardgour and Sunart and Moydart are over there. It's just lovely, and the light is slowly lowering, but you can see it is getting cloudier, isn't it? So, oh yes, it's like my wee haven. Once you get parked up, you stick the diesel heater on, get something to eat, and then just chill, get the bed down, read a book, put some music on. I love it. I really love it. It's really good. Again, it's solitude.
Do you do your cooking in there as well?
Yeah, I do all the cooking, and I don't know what it'll be tonight. I might make a lasagna, or no, I'm joking. A bacon roll or something like that, I think.
What about music then? What sort of music do you listen to?
I generally, I'm not really a big music fan. Historic, I love AC/DC. Sorry, I'm an old man. It's typical old man stuff. Absolutely love AC/DC. But I listen to all sorts, to be honest with you. I've actually got one of these, you know, the Echo Amazon things. And if I'm sitting, even if I'm doing editing, I'll just put classical music on. I'll say, Alexa, play some relaxing classical music, followed by some Iron Maiden. I knew I'd use it. I've saved for years and years. I've always wanted one, and I was lucky when I got it when I did. And I knew I'd use it. So hills, even if I'm coming to Glencoe, like today, we didn't meet until 11, but even if we were meeting first thing, I'd used to get up super early and driving. But what I'll do now is I'll just head up the night before and park up to the spot late up. And it just means I can relax in the van and I don't have to do too much in the morning to get up and away. So it's really good. And even when I'm not in the hills, we use it with the family at the weekend to take the dogs for walks and have a wee cup of coffee and a bacon sandwich when we come back. It's good. It does get used. My fingers are getting numb. Yeah. Winter's coming. Yeah, can't be far off freezing, I don't think. Certainly the landscape is, as I said before, there's nothing like it. Not even, you know, UK-wise, the Lake District's beautiful, and Snowdonia and Ireland. But even when you go to Europe, the landscapes there are amazing. But there's just something about Scotland. It's just something about Scotland. I don't know whether it's the light, as I said before, the combination of mountains and sea. You've got a real variety of mountains in Scotland as well, which is nice. We could easily go tomorrow to the Cairngorms and it's a completely different landscape, or I don't know, up to Skye or Torridon. These places. So yeah, I think I'm proud to be Scottish. And never thought about that. Now the pressure's on. Not really, no. I just enjoy sharing it, and I do enjoy the ones where you share the views. I know people like to watch me suffer, and like the ones where it's chucking it down with rain, and I don't enjoy it. But yeah, I do get a bit of pleasure when you get views like we've got today, and the sun's dappling the landscape and all that sort of stuff, and you can see the landscape for what it is. It really is a magnificent place. We're so lucky. Never take it for granted, staying so close. I mean, it took me about 2 hours to get up here, maybe just over 2 hours. Which in the grand scheme of things is no time at all. Oh, a bit less busy than it was earlier on, isn't it? I've really enjoyed it, Julian. I know we've been talking off camera, and I did mention that I thought it was going to be a shorter day, but it's been quite... What time is it now? That's 10 to 6. What time did we arrive? Is it 11 o'clock? So yeah. It's been a good few hours, longer than I thought. And the views were certainly better than I thought. It was just absolutely fabulous. So really good hike. And yeah, I really enjoyed today, Julian. So thanks, because I wouldn't have come up here otherwise. I was really keen to show you that view. So hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. I know that you've been trying to film me and listening to me rambling on cam at the moment, but yeah, really pleased with today's adventure. So hopefully it comes across okay and people like to hear what I'm rambling on about and understand me in my Scottish accent. I need to speak slowly. Oh, right. The mountains of Scotland. What's the perfect treat to keep the nutrients up and the energy levels? Why, sir, it's a Scotch egg, full of nutrients, proper Scottish beef.